They say that you're allowed to make mistakes. I say that's a lie. Um, because many people around me don't want me making certain mistakes. There's certain mistakes that you can't make, which isn't a mistake at all. You can't mistakenly. You can't mistakenly rape someone. The purpose of rape is that you've done it intentionally. It may have affected someone, but if you'd gotten drunk, then you raped someone. That basically means that it was your fault. When I'm talking about sober, completely sober, nothing affecting you, would you still rape that person? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't brutalize that person. You wouldn't rape that person. You wouldn't do anything to that person. So then, therefore, what is a mistake? What is a mistake? A mistake is less unintentional. A mistake could be something intentional too. A destiny or a choice is not a mistake. A choice to abuse someone is a choice. Completely sober. Unless you're forced to. You know, I got ideologies that I have. I don't know what you'd call it. It's just my own. I just compose my own ideology. The world is beautiful, really. There's just some ugliness in it, some biohazard in it. It's perception, right? It's just perception. I mean, everything's beautiful to me. I never had anything look ugly to me. It was just like I wanted to explore more of its beauty and its ugliness. But it seems that these philosophies and these opinions or musings I can't seem to get across, so everyone just looks at me as evil. You're evil. You want to kill people. You want to kill white people. You want to kill black people. It's like it's not even about killing. It's not. I don't really want to kill even my enemies. You know, my enemies, I just want them to live on knowing that I made it. And they didn't make it. Or rather, I just never made it. It's not that they had to make it. They didn't make it. Do I want my enemies to make it too? Well, if they're my enemies, then no. Because they're my enemies for a reason. But, my rivals, sure, you know. One's an enemy and one's a rival. What is an enemy? What is a rival? A rival can come off like an enemy. You got Vegeta and Goku. Vegeta was a rival, came off as an enemy, but really was a rival. Nappa was the enemy. He was gonna wipe out everything. Vegeta was never an enemy. You know, Vegeta was never an enemy. Tien was never an enemy. None of these were enemies. Frieza was an enemy. Because Frieza was going to stop at nothing. If your enemy stops, then it was never your enemy, it was a rival. More or less. Or barbarian. Someone getting in your way. But they're made to be stronger. They made them strong, made Goku strong. Well, it kind of messed Goku up. But that's the difference between an enemy and a rival. A rival is there to make you stronger. An enemy is there to destroy you. He's there to make you weaker. So if you meet someone who made you stronger, and he beat you around and shit, you know, he probably wasn't your enemy. He's just a rival, or just something to make you stronger. It's just something to make you stronger. It's just something to make you stronger. Something to make you stronger. That's it. There's no enemies here. There's rivals. Lots of rivals. A lot of rivals. A lot of people getting your way. Your enemy is different. You'll never see them. Or if you do see him and he wants you to see you, or you probably did see him, you probably just didn't let you know. Because your enemy likes to stay in secret. He's in hiding. Your enemy's in hiding. He's in hiding. Right? The purpose of your enemy is that he's in hiding. You're never gonna see him. It's like the movie Clown It movie. It's the Clown It movie. That clown movie showed that it was a clown that was terrorizing them. Psychological terror, get them to kill themselves, harvesting their fear. And then it turns out it was a fucked up clown who couldn't move, had to hide his body, physical body. It's typically a weak person. Not necessarily a weak person, but if it can't even move, then that is a physically weak entity. It can be destroyed. It created other strengths, though. That's the thing about your enemy, is that if it has weaknesses, your enemy actually has more weaknesses than you do. Your enemy has more weaknesses than you do. Your enemy has a million weaknesses. It's just good at one thing. It's good at one thing. Screwing you over. That's it. And it finds different ways to screw you over. Through your fear, through your emotions. It's not good at anything else. It's not good at money. It's not good at time. If someone comes and kills you and they know where you're at and they're hunting you, that wasn't your enemy. That was a biohazard. A malicious entity, a malicious force. It could be God coming to warn you, but it was malicious. That wasn't an enemy. Your enemy is in hiding. He's only good at one thing. That's why he has to hide. That's why he created a whole world, or that's why he has to create illusions, so he can hide. He's right in your face, but he's hiding. And he had to poison your water, poison your foods, just so it was harder and harder to get to him. Like, why would he have to poison you if you were so easy to destroy? I mean, you're not easy to destroy. If he has to poison you, if he has to do all these things just to kill you, do all these things, break your mind, possess you, do all these things, then that means that your enemy might be crafty. He's not particularly strong, though. You can be a giant. It's probably happened to giants. If you go in the history, it's probably happened to giants. Probably happened to giants at one point. Probably happened to giants. You know, the giants probably, as giant as they were, something like a rat just kept messing with it. It's like an elephant and a rat. The giant couldn't see the rat. Well, he did see the rat, but the rat was so crafty and so nimble and swift. He's like, what are you doing? Doing all these things, and that's what your enemy's like. It's nimble, swift. You're giant. The enemy's like small. But the enemy is crafty. The enemy is kind of in your body too. It's poisons, viruses, parasites, toxins. He's in your body. He's in your mind. They say your mind's a dangerous place because of that. Your mind's a dangerous place because your enemy's in your body. He's in your body. He wants to make you forget that he's there. He wants to make you forget. So he hides. Gives you grandeur illusions of yourself. That gives you better support. You know, That's what your enemy does. That's what he does. He's gonna it's what your enemy does. It's not even that he's small per se. It's just that he wants to make you not aware of him. Well, actually, he is small. He's like atomized small. He's like, I don't want you to be aware of me. But that's what your enemy actually is. A biohazard, a fear toxin from Batman type deal. Has to always do these weird things to you just to keep you away. And these aren't necessarily bad things, that are bad traits, but he can abuse it. It can be used against you. Mirrors and smoke and mirrors, you know. A lot of this is smoke and mirrors. A lot of this world is smoke and mirrors. Like racism, they want to create a smoke and mirrors reality. Smoke and mirrors. And then these smoke and mirrors are trying to say, hey, you're a black man, you're supposed to do this. Oh, hey, you're a white man, you're supposed to do this. Oh, hey, you're Asian and pale and X and Y. And they want to give you these falsifications. It's not really experiment, it's more like just to see what you do under the guise of someone else. If you thought that you were a black man, then it turns out you were white, what would you do then? Would you still want to be a black man, or would you then go back and be a white man? Or if you were a Native American, you thought you're Native American, you were really African, would you go back to your home continent, or would you keep the illusion and stay here? I had a dream about that. I had a dream that I was this fat white man I saw in the mirror. And in the dream, the person said, you got a demon in you. And the demon showed up as this fat white man. I'm just like, oh my God. That's what's inside of me? A fat white man? Disgusting fat white man? You know. You know, he was big. He looked nasty. This isn't anything racism, but this isn't anything racist, but I'm like, fuck. You know, it's a perception though. If you realize you were Jesus, would you really stay with everyone else, or would you go back to your father? If you're a queen, would you really stick around with all your little groups of friends? Like, I'm a queen, I'm not supposed to be doing this. I'm a king, I'm not supposed to be doing this. The joke is to say you were never what you were, and you only went by what we said we wanted you to go by. Or we only went by what environments and what populations and what groupings that we put you in. And then the other groupings, falsified history was created in order to create said conflict. So now there's a false conflict. And while you're having a false conflict, your water is being poisoned. The person that's poisoning your water looks just like you because he joined in on the bad side. Right. The purpose of war is to create conflict, and then within war creates propaganda for fear within the other person's nation. There's spies on the inside. There's spies. There's spies working in their government when there was no spy. How do you verify there's no spy? Your water's being poisoned. Something's happening. There was no spy. They merely had dropped a barrel of biohazard in the fucking water via plane when it flew over you. You just didn't know, and they said they blamed it, and then it was your people, and you killed the person, and you thought it was them. guerrilla warfare tactics. The war is so complex. It's so complex, so quiet. Because war is quiet. It's not loud. Keep making loud noises, eventually people are going to find the source of that loud noise. But if you make something quiet, right, it's going to be harder to find. That's why assassins were preferred when it came to killing kings, because they were quiet about it. You never heard about them. They didn't even have a life. They had no life. I mean, they had a life. They were out in public or created a life. But that's how war is. It's all quiet, deception. And then after everything's so deceived, then they all come in at once. Then you're so confused, you have no idea what to do. Imagine you drink. So imagine you drink, right? You're hanging out with some girls. You're drinking, partying, having sex with the greatest girls, right? Just amazing time. And then war comes. You're so drugged up. So in your alcoholic state, when war comes, they already killed you. Isn't that scary? They sold you all these things, drugs, and gave you everything. They sold you all these things so then they can attack you. They can all come at once. Sold you dreams. Sold you ideas. Gave you things. They want you to expose yourself too. The purpose of your enemy is to get him to expose yourself and build a society around what should not be done. So if you shouldn't be wearing the color blue and you wore the color blue in secret, then it's just like, look at this person, someone from your own tribe wore the color blue. Now the tribe attacks that person rather than attacking the actual enemy, but they attack the person because we are not allowed to do that because then something will happen. The purpose to destroy your enemy, or just get the enemy to destroy you, is that he gets you to do things to yourself. Oh, you're drinking. You shouldn't be drinking. Here, he poisoned your drink. Oh, you're hanging with the girls? You like girls? Well, you shouldn't be hanging with the girls because not every girl is good for you. He sends you a terrible girl. Oh, you like having sex a lot? Oh, you should be having sex a lot. It could be bad for you. Then sets up multiple people to have sex with you and abuses your mental health. Oh, you're mentally ill? You shouldn't be mentally ill. Well, here's a hospital to go to. The hospital, turns out the hospital was terrible. Nothing but poisons. Nothing but poisons. But and then then it's just like, well, now that we poison you, you're gonna be all just like us. I'm just like you, but your enemy actually isn't like you at all. Your enemy is trying to make you think that he's like you, or make you think that he's messed up. Like he's actually messed up, like emotionally. Like, oh, I'm messed up, and when he's not. The purpose of your enemy is that he wants to corrupt you. So he can sing singers and songwriters to you, and those singers and songwriters, the music that they're playing could be bad music. You have someone like say Queen Latifah. I love her, great music. Say she was used as say someone from another kingdom, another government said, hey, I want you to go play at this place, distract them, or use your beautiful music to distract them. Use your beauty to distract. And then that's how it all started. Illumination. It's supposed to create a type of illumination. beauty is often used as a disguise. Beauty is used to trick. That's why you have Quasimodo. They said that even Jesus had to hunchback. It's possible that different Jesus had to hunchback. It's very possible that Jesus didn't look very appealing, or it's possible Jesus looked Aboriginal. If anybody knows what an Aboriginal looks like, Aboriginal Australian. You go to Australia or you go to America, you look at Aboriginals, dark-skinned Aboriginals. Very dark-skinned, heavy features. What was said to be deformed was not deformed. If you look at an Australian Aboriginal woman and you say, that's an ugly woman, that is in fact a beautiful woman. Her features are simply just different, built by the environment. Now, some of her features could be, because I saw a picture with her, and she was a big girl. She was kind of fat. Like she probably ate too many bad foods. That's what I mean by fat. She ate too many bad foods. Her foods were bad. But she was a beautiful woman regardless. Beautiful soul. Beautiful mind. But it could be Jesus had probably different attributes. Not that he looked like a strong black man, but he could have been a black man that was like 6 foot, but probably had like more dark Aboriginal features. Very dense features. Very, very dense features. Just very dense. Very dense. You could have had more of a hunchback, or it could have looked different. Most people say human beings that they walk on 2 feet. They got 2 feet, they got straight shoulders, but that's not how they look. Those are androgynous features. Like, everybody looks different. Everybody looks different. Not even white people look the same. Not even black people look the same. Not all of us look the same. Europeans don't all look the same. They show you a common image of a European man. It's a European features, but those aren't even European features. If you go on the internet right now, you look up European features, completely different. You look up Black American features. We don't all look the same. In fact, even looking at Michael Jackson, you look at Michael Jackson before he changed. He looked completely different. If you look at his real pictures where he has acne and stuff, that's actually him. He got acne. Looks completely different. That's just him. And then you look at a Black American from deep Appalachia, like Memphis, or you go to Missouri, completely different. Same mother. They're all birthed by the same mother. They just look different. One is darker skin, straight hair. One is darker, light skin, kinkier hair. And the intention of that hair and the intention of said things is for environmental. It's environmental. It's environmental. So environment and the hair, the kinky hair was created to absorb certain parts of that environment. Hair is meant to be an antenna. Different hair textures for different types of antennas. I don't think people knew that. Environmental adaptation, different skin types, skin colors, skin types, features, based off the environmental adaptation. Some say the cold is supposed to make you lighter skin, but you see Eskimos, and then Eskimos, they got dark skin. They can be dark skinned, so it's not necessarily possible. I didn't mean to get into race or anything like that. Not white versus black or anything, but it's just to show you that war is a complex thing. And if they can get you to look at a pale-skinned person with paler skin and say, that's not your brother, that's your enemy, or that's from a different tribe, when you're really from the same tribe. kind of went off topic there, but it's a biohazard you're fighting. The war you're fighting is a biohazard. There are people who are sick, and they actually are sick, meaning they were born sick, as in the design of them was to be a biohazard. They're designed to be a biohazard for the purpose of war. Some of them were sentient. Some of them could be sentient. Some of them could have no sentience. Some of them are given probably your enemy would give something sentient so you can sympathize with it, with the person. So they created a robot hybrid, and they give the robot consciousness. They say, look, the robot has consciousness. It can feel love. It has a soul. But your enemy is using it against you. You have to get rid of the robot hybrid, not because you hate the robot hybrid, because it's trying to use it against you. You know, why do we have enemies in this world? I think there's an intentional and unintentional reason. I think corruption can often look like an enemy. And something that is a choice can often look like a friend. So ever seen someone that was corrupted, had a corrupted mind, and they attacked you? Because whatever corruption they saw, whatever they saw was something they thought was their enemy, so they terrorized you. But that was never, they were never enemies. It's just something in his mind. You know, corruption is an interesting thing. But this is the complexity you're dealing with. But if something's in your way, something's in your way. You have to get rid of it. You may not have to kill it, but you may have to get rid of it. I forgot to introduce myself. Introduction. It's a late introduction. Well, this is XWI podcast. I'm gonna be running at 30 minutes. Let me try to get my podcast around like I don't know. I think 30 minutes is going to be my max podcast time. If we're going to do a long podcast, it's going to be 30 minutes. It's going to be a 30-minute podcast. But yes, not everyone's your enemy. But everything can be used by your enemy. Many things can be used by your enemy. The girl you're hanging out with, the man you're hanging out with, he loves you. He loves you. He's not your enemy. He is your friend. But your enemy is using him against you. So then he can attack you when you are weak. When you're filled with love and you have joy and you want peace, your enemy gets you into a peaceful modium operandus. And the enemy attacks you because he created that for you. Someone that you needed. You know, that person that they were using was actually genuinely good. It's terrible. The complexities of war is deeply emotional. It's inherently emotional. But then it gets on a more psychological level. Because even if you take emotion out of something, which is you take logic out of something, by the way. If you take emotion out of someone, it's hard for someone to work with other people. But you take the emotion out of something, then you just have the logic. Well, logic cannot be illogical, but it can face illogical things, and it can be overwhelmed by it. A robot had no emotion, just all willpower, but it can be destroyed. It can have other things destroyed. It can have other weaknesses as well. It's an amazing thing, this warfare is. It's an amazing thing, this awakening is to what war is and how war can be used. Because your whole life, the man you're married to was used for war. Because you descended from, you know, the Buffalo Soldiers or a veteran of the war, right? And because of that descent, you know, you had something set up. All because of the family you belong to. All because of the family you belong to. All because you live in this place, you're used for war. Even the concept of race is used for war. And race is real, but the concept is used for war. So now it's become twisted. Now, if I was born in America, blood ties to the America. I was native to that land. And I was native to the other land. Well, there's another land native to, say, Asia, China. Those are more or less different races or different environmentally constructed people. But they then try to create conflicts off of that. It's a very interesting thing. But this is XWI production signing off. Thank you for listening to my podcast. I will label this podcast in the video titled "The Complexities and the Romanticism of War." I'll name it something, but the romantic aspects of war. I will label it that. Have a good night. Bye bye.